to speak. I would focus rather on the trading side of green hydrogen. So how can green hydrogen be traded together with the certificates, but also as a physical commodity? So I trust I can really build my presentation on the presentations of Jan and Paula, which gave you already an overview on the certification side. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. First of all, who are we as EEX, as European Energy Exchange? We run exchange markets, exchange platforms for energy and other commodities worldwide. Our main area of action of our business is in Europe, but we also have offices in the US and in Asia. We have an office in Singapore. We are the biggest power trading exchange worldwide. Further to power, we trade on our markets, natural gas can be traded, but also CO2 emission certificates under the EU ETS, the EU emission trading scheme, and a couple of other commodities associated to energy, but also beyond, can be traded on our markets. What is very special to exchange trading is that it is an anonymous trading. So traders never know who is actually behind a trade. This comes because we also provide automated and central settling of all contracts that have been concluded on our platforms. So traders never know who is actually their counterpart. That is an important point. It is exchange trading in our case is purely B2B business, so it's a wholesale market. Trading participants on our platform are mainly utilities, but also companies from the industry segment, from transport segment. It's steel manufacturers, it's car manufacturers, just to name a few. So these companies are trading energy and commodities purely on a B2B basis on our platforms. Then we provide our platforms under transparent and clear conditions. So the conditions for trading are basically the same for everyone. Through that, we are able to publish prices, transparent prices on the trades that were concluded on our platforms, and also we publish information on the volumes being traded on our platforms. And then all this comes together with a clear and very high regulation of our market. So we are highly supervised by the respective supervisory authorities on our markets. This is us as exchange. I will like to give you an overview how we plan with hydrogen trading and what are the benefits of trading hydrogen also on an exchange like us. Just quickly, when it comes to my role, I've been working with EEX since 11 years. I work in the Political and Regulatory Affairs Department, and I take care of our hydrogen activities together with a colleague from the business development team. And I'm happy to answer also your questions later in the Q&A section. Next slide, please. Thanks a lot. Why do we believe trading green hydrogen is a good idea, and also trading hydrogen on a multilateral basis, not only on a bilateral basis between a producer and a consumer, but also broadening that to a platform where there are many consumers, many producers meeting each other. First of all, hydrogen markets, multilateral hydrogen markets are able to connect an international production of hydrogen being transported through ships over the seas of the world, being imported to several countries through ports, and then meeting a domestic hydrogen production. So the markets are able to connect both a global production of hydrogen and then also a domestic hydrogen production within a certain country. Also, hydrogen markets are able to connect this to hydrogen storage on a market price level. So the market price will be able to incentivize either to store hydrogen or to release the stored hydrogen, to consume hydrogen, to sell hydrogen. This is all what the market is connecting based on the market price level. We believe markets are able to provide transparency, be it on the prices, on the market prices, but also on the volumes. Prices, of course, is very important for many stakeholders in the hydrogen business. It's important as an information source for making dedicated investment decisions, and for many other things. It's of course important to know what is actually the price of green hydrogen. A green hydrogen market is able to provide an income source for the hydrogen producers. I mean, in Europe, we're speaking a lot about subsidies for the hydrogen producers, but in the long run, the markets, of course, are also able to provide them with an income source beyond subsidies. Markets are able to connect everything, basically. They are able to connect the hydrogen, they are able to the ammonia, hydrogen or ammonia being produced out of hydrogen. They are able to connect them with the certificate markets as well, and where this is relevant also to a power market, for instance. So we might be able to connect through the market price the power prices, the power markets to the hydrogen price, to the hydrogen markets, and it's all bundled within these through the connection of the market price signal. Hydrogen markets, multilateral hydrogen markets under transparent conditions, provide a level playing field for various producers and consumers of green hydrogen, be they small, be they big, so they all have the same trading conditions, and through that level playing fields provided to them. And last but not least, multilateral trading platforms, multilateral markets for green hydrogen help to secure security of supply, as a diverse field of different actors meets at one marketplace, and they are able to level to meet demand and supply if markets are liquid enough to do so. Next slide, please. Many thanks. Until we get there, until we get to a liquid market for green hydrogen, this obviously takes a while. We are not yet there. We are in Europe. We're basically starting with that, and the investments and are starting now, and the entire ramp-up process for reaching a hydrogen market is starting now. So it's a long journey to get there. It's a long journey. It will be a long journey to reach a liquid market, but it's starting now, and we as EEX, we try to accompany this process from the start, and want to grow with the uptaking hydrogen market. How hydrogen can be traded from our perspective is, at the one hand side, we will see when in a couple of years grid-bound hydrogen. Please excuse me that I focus quite on Europe, because that is obviously the area I know best when it comes to the hydrogen uptake. So in Europe, we're focusing. We will see grid-bound hydrogen being produced through pipelines similar to natural gas in a couple of years. The infrastructure is not yet there. It's about to be built up, partly in old natural gas pipelines, partly it's completely new infrastructure that has to be built up. Yeah, then once this is there, we expect hydrogen to be to be transported through the grid, through the pipes, and we will see a continuous supply of this over a certain period of time, like we have in the power or natural gas markets. So the physical delivery of any green hydrogen will then take place through balancing group connected to the consumer and also to the producer, of course. Trading will, in this case, take place for a certain delivery period. So traders will agree on a certain delivery period to deliver hydrogen, to take hydrogen out of the grid, and agree on a fixed market price over this delivery period for a fixed amount of green hydrogen also. Yeah, this is how the grid-bound hydrogen will be traded. This is something we expect to start in Europe from 2025 onwards. Something that will take place quite soon, or what we expect to happen quite soon, is transport of hydrogen or hydrogen derivatives such as ammonia or PTX products or the so-called RFNBOs off grid through ships, through trucks, trains, containers. So this is something that can happen already quite soon. There is established transport infrastructure specifically for ammonia, and this transport infrastructure also, yeah, is an international one. So it's going to be over the big seas and with big vessels. So that is already there. Physical delivery and also trading are then, in this case, quite different to the grid-bound case, let's say. We will see the physical delivery then in pulses, rather similar to the LNG delivery. So once a ship arrives at a port, then it's obviously physically being delivered. We will see then, yeah, a direct transfer from the producer, from the hydrogen producer or the service company delivering the hydrogen to a port to then to the consumer. What we as a market operator could think of is basically also the creation of central storages, where basically to create a central storage where the physical hydrogen or the ammonia PTX products is then being stored, and the consumers can take it from there in order to make the process a bit more straightforward, let's say. In this case, in this delivery in pulses, let's say, market prices are fixed for a certain amount, for a fixed amount of hydrogen ammonia PTX product at a point in time, and not over a period of time, obviously. And that is what we expect to happen first before the grid-bound hydrogen. On our existing market, we see basically two market segments, and that is also what we expect to happen for the hydrogen. The first market segment I'd like to mention is the spot markets, which is the short-term market delivery, the physical delivery of an energy carrier of the energy takes place right after trading or very shortly after trading. In the power market, we are speaking about day ahead. So delivery then takes place 1 day after trading, and also we do that in the gas segment. So that is something we expect for the hydrogen market as well. However, this requires somewhat decent amount of physical hydrogen, ammonia, PTX fuel to be available for immediate delivery. What we expect to be established first is future markets where the delivery of the physical energy carrier takes place at a certain point in time in the future, but the prices are fixed today. So traders can, or consumers, producers can agree on a fixed price for the future, can hedge the price by that, and also they agree on a volume and hedge any volume risk associated. So they can agree on something today already. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. How does all this connect to certificates? Certificates are a very important aspect of green hydrogen trading. Physically, green, gray, pink, Paula mentioned all these colors, hydrogen as well as ammonia and so on is completely the same thing, and they cannot be distinguished from each other, but they are, of course, the different kinds of hydrogen production are, of course, different when it comes to their climate impact or other kinds of impacts. Hydrogen certificates are a very crucial central aspect of green hydrogen trading, because it's the only way to really prove the origin of hydrogen or an energy carrier, to state it more generally. Paula stated it quite clear. There are two basic systems in Europe existent, and we see they being operated in the power segment, specifically the guarantees of origin, the book and claim system, and for the biogas segment we see rather the mass balance system. So both systems are being applied in Europe. The guarantees of origin, book and claim system is a system where the certificate can be traded separately from the physical energy carrier, while as we saw in the mass balance system, we see physical ties between the certificate and the physical energy carrier. When it comes to the international trade, I mean, this is a European system so far. When it comes to the international trade with hydrogen, ammonia, and PTX products, but also with certificates, there is a need for a system that allows, at least for the mutual recognition of certificates, of attributes, let's say. And also there needs to be a certain set of internationally harmonized rules for those certificates. So certificates need to be somewhat standardized to understand the value of a certificate being issued by an issuing so-called issuing body. Those registries Paula also mentioned, to understand that that a certificate being issued by an issuing body outside my own legislation is equivalent to one being issued by the issuing body of my legislation. So there needs to be a set of standards and harmonized rules for that. And also we need a set of technical infrastructure to be able to transfer internationally hydrogen certificates, or also to cancel them, so to use them in a sense. This is necessary to have technical infrastructure for that as well. Next slide, please. Good. Thanks a lot. When it comes to the outlook, or how we think the future of certificate trading or the future of green hydrogen trading will develop, I mean, looking at Europe, Jan mentioned the regulatory legislative pieces that are under development currently. Name again the Delegated Act under the Renewable Energy Directive 2. As everyone, we're expecting the publication of this. I mean, it's not yet there, and it should be published until the end of the year. And as Jan stated, this Delegated Act will define the system and the characteristics of green hydrogen. So without that, there is not yet a clear definition for that. Also, we're looking into international initiatives that there are numerous to define green hydrogen, to develop an international definition and understanding of what is green hydrogen. And also some of these international initiatives or international organizations look into establishing systems to internationally transfer green hydrogen certificates. And that is something we, as a market operator, we support very much. We believe it's an important aspect of hydrogen trading, and there needs to be somewhat of an international system to be able to create this international market for green hydrogen, for ammonia, for PTX products or RFNBOs.